Okay, so moving on with the interesting part, that how the sperm entry actually triggers this maturation of the ovum. So two factors are very much important. Sperm entry restarts the cell cycle by regulating these two factors. One is MPF, which is the M phase or maturation promoting factor, and the other one is the APC, anaphase promoting complex. So it decreases MPF and increases APC, and thereby restarting the cell cycle. So by MPF you can see that this is the factor responsible for G2 to M transition in the cell cycle. So MPF is basically responsible for maintaining the cell in mitotic phase or M phase, metaphase basically, and helping in spindle formation and etc. So for MPF to be active, the cyclin dependent kinase CTK1 needs to be bound by cyclin B1. So with this attachment, the CTK1 is active and hence MPF is also active. So what happens when sperm enters? Sperm entry triggers a calcium signal. A series of calcium spikes start arising. So these are responsible for activating the APC or the anaphase promoting complex. Now APC has two major functions. Number one, it degrades the cyclin B1 and thereby inactivating the kinase CTK1 and therefore reducing the MPF in the cell. And also it has another function, like we can see here there are two proteins, securin and separase. Separase is the protein which is responsible for separating the sister chromatids in the anaphase stage. So separase is inactivated by securin binding. So APC also goes here and helps in the proteolysis of securin, thereby activating the separase protein. So this separase, when non-phosphorylated, so you can see that dephosphorylation has occurred. When the phosphorylation has been removed, then the separase becomes active and sister chromatids are separated. And here when the CTK1 is inactive or the MPF is inactive, then the nuclear envelope formation starts again, thereby completing the cytokinesis also and chromatin decondensation, thus bringing the cell back to the G1 phase. So the M phase is finally complete by completing the anaphase triggered by the anaphase promoting complex, and therefore the cell returns back to the G1 phase by the pronucleus formation. So this is the entire pathway by which the egg is activated by sperm entry. So the hormonal regulation of oogenesis is basically also known as hypothalamus, pituitary and ovarian axis, similar to the testicular axis that we discussed. So this also starts with hypothalamus. The gonadotropin releasing hormone similarly stimulates the release of FSH and LH from the anterior pituitary gland that we have already discussed. Now FSH and LH in oogenesis functions are different than spermatogenesis. So what happens when FSH is secreted? FSH goes on to stimulate the growing follicles inside the ovary and helps in the secondary oocyte formation. It also helps in the ovulation process by and it also helps in the secretion of estrogens and inhibin from the ovarian follicles. LH goes on to stimulate also the ovulation as well as from the corpus luteum. It helps in the secretion of estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and inhibin. So these four hormones are the major hormones in the female reproductive system. Estrogens are basically responsible for the maintenance of the female reproductive structures and the sex characteristics, the increase in the protein anabolism, lowering blood cholesterol, and also moderate levels inhibit release of GnRH, FSH and LH. So here you can see there is another negative feedback loop going on from the estrogen and also progesterone. They both inhibit the release of GnRH and LH when the concentration of these hormones have reached at an optimum level. Relaxin and inhibin. Relaxin is basically the hormone responsible for controlling the contractions of the uterine muscles. During labor, it helps in the flexibility of the uterus, and therefore it helps in pushing the baby out of the mother's body, as well as it dilates the uterine cervix, and therefore it becomes easy for the baby to come out. And inhibin inhibits the release of FSH and to a lesser extent LH. So inhibin is the same function, has the same function as that in spermatogenesis. It inhibits the release of FSH and LH and creates a negative feedback loop. Progesterone is an important hormone to prepare the thick endometrium for implantation of the ovum after ovulation. It also prepares the mammary glands to secrete milk, and it also helps in the negative feedback loop along with estrogen. Okay, so this is basically the hormonal control of oogenesis, and I will stop here and discuss the fertilization in the next video. Thank you.